I'm Lavinia Morris and I'm the head of IT here in SMBC Aviation Capital. I started out, I studied engineering, electronic engineering in NUI Galway. And I guess I'd always got a natural affinity for science and maths, so a career in engineering seemed like a natural choice for me. And I graduated from college in the mid-90s, just as the first technology boom was kicking off here. And not too dissimilar to today, there was a huge demand for science and technology graduates to fill IT vacancies. So that's how I ended up in IT. And since I've graduated, I've worked in a number of different sectors. So I started out in power engineering with ESB. I spent several years leading IT teams in the financial services sector, so for AIB and Friends First. And I've also worked in IT professional services, so I worked for Fujitsu for a while. So I've worked kind of on both the vendor and the customer side of IT. These days I head up IT for SMBC Aviation Capital. And I guess I spend a lot of my time looking at ways that we can use IT and technology to solve business issues or to promote growth and enable growth within the business. And SMBC Aviation Capital, we're one of the largest aircraft leasing companies in the world, so IT and technology are very important. We've just completed a very large transformation project where we've replaced and completely re-platformed all of our IT. So we see IT and technology as being a key enabler for us for the growth of our business going forward. Well, I guess when I started out first, my technical skills were very important, and I found that having a technology background has been a good foundation for leading teams of technologists and for gaining their trust and respect. But as I guess I've moved into more senior positions, I've found that communications and interpersonal skills are very important. And to effectively lead teams, and particularly IT teams, it's very important to be able to connect with your people, to understand what motivates them, and to help them achieve their goals, and that ultimately leads to successful delivery. One of the key challenges I see, and it's certainly in the context of running an IT function supporting a business, is that I think a lot of the traditional IT careers I would have grown up with are starting to disappear. I think the whole idea of a hybrid business IT type of skill set is becoming more and more important. And I think the IT people of the future need to be able to think like business people as opposed to IT people, because I think the key for the future is leveraging IT and technology for business growth. It's no longer about fixing things or keeping the lights on, as we call it in the IT world. It's about using technology for business advantage. And I mean, this is something that's a mantra here in SMBC Aviation Capital. I mean, I and my function are measured not on how many things we can fix, but on what kind of changes can we introduce, how can we use the technology that we have made a significant investment in, how can we use that to make a difference for our business. So I guess what I would say is for people who are in the more traditional type of careers to start looking at how they can upskill or transition their skill sets into something that's going to be more relevant for the future. I think those kind of hybrid business IT roles are going to become very important. I think the business analysis role is going to become more important than ever. And I think those kind of roles and careers that straddle both business and IT, so the marketing technologists, the chief digital officers, the data analysts, are going to be important careers in the future. And I guess to give you an idea of what we do here in SMBC AC, all of our IT people have to have some form of business analysis skills, because that's the only way we can ensure that IT is delivering the value that it needs to the business. So my IT function would have people who've come from business backgrounds as well as IT technical backgrounds. I suppose when I think about IT professionalism, I think about what I like to call the rounded IT professional. So it's the person who has the good blend of not just technical skills, but business skills, communication skills, and people skills. So when I'm recruiting, that is what I look for. And especially when you look to the future and where IT is going. I mean, IT in most organisations is now fundamental to the delivery of the business, delivery of business operations. And if you think about it in that context, technical skills alone are not going to take you through. You have to be able to translate those into a business context, and in turn you need to be able to deal and interact with people in an effective way. So I've been here in Aviation Capital for the last 2 years. So I've spent the last 2 years recruiting an IT function, and that's one of the key things I have looked for in recruiting candidates, is that we get that blended mix of individuals. And I think, you know, it's going to be important. You know, IT leaders now are part of the business decision making process, and if we're to, and we do have a voice at the top table, and if we're to maintain that and maintain that position, it's very important that we are growing professionals who are more than one-dimensional techies, for want of a better word. When I think about IT, I mean, I think it's a really exciting time to be involved in IT and technology. I mean, if you look at the pace of evolution of technology and the impact it's had, you know, on our own personal lives, not just on business. So what I would say to every IT professional out there is to identify, get involved, seize the opportunities. I mean, it's a wonderful time to be involved in IT. And I would say that they should get involved in the change, identify the opportunities where they can use technology to make a change for their business. And I would say, you know, if we look forward, you know, as to what the next 5-10 years are going to bring. If you look at the pace of change over the last 5 years, we can do things today we were never able to do before. If you translate that out into the next 5 years, I think we have a wonderful opportunity to be able to say we were part of making that happen. So what I would say is it's very important for people to not look back as passengers in this journey, but to be able to say that they were part of the revolution, you know, they were part of making the change happen and that they made a difference. The day itself is a very interesting concept, and it's great to see that Ireland are being a leader in having a day like this. You know, I think for, and to recognise those professionals, and I think, you know, the model that we're using where we are getting senior advocates and the old heads, for want of a better word, in the industry, mentoring and bringing along the IT professionals of the future is very valuable. I also think that there's lots that people like me who have worked in IT for a long time now can learn from the young graduates and the young professionals coming along as well, and creating that sense of belonging, that sense of profession. You know, I think IT has suffered in the past from kind of a watering down, particularly during the .com era. But I think now more than ever, it's been seen as a profession. You know, you're seeing IT leaders at the top table, you know, helping run the business. Like I myself here sit on the management team in Aviation Capital, so I'm involved in the running of the business. And, you know, I think it's getting messages like that across, getting, you know, the IT and technology professionals to see that just like, you know, somebody who comes from a law background or an accountancy background, that, you know, the IT background is just as important, if not more important, when you consider where technology is going in the future and the influence it's having on business and the world around us. I think one of the things with an IT career is that it's a very diverse profession, and it offers wonderful opportunities for getting involved in a lot of different types of sectors. If I look at my own background, I've worked in power engineering, financial services, government, professional services, and now aviation. So I don't think there are too many professions that give you that type of diversity. You know, and I suppose I would reiterate the message that it is a really exciting sector to be involved in, and it's only going to get more exciting when we see, you know, when you start to see where it could go and the difference it could make.